Welcome back to Huch House Ranch. Trey here, and we are going to be embarking on that. An incredible tri-tip. We're going to put it on the grill, charcoal. The most amazing cauliflower you've ever seen in your entire life, and a baked potato to boot. So come along as we enjoy this journey, but let's get this piece of meat fixed up and ready to go in season so that it's resting and can take up the proper profile that I'm looking for to throw on the grill today. So let's take a look at this beautiful cut of meat.
Huch House Ranch.
Now the tri-tip is more of a West Coast cut. I didn't know anything about it until I had a buddy of mine that moved here from California, and he was talking about it. I was like, nothing as good as a brisket that we take 10, 12, 14 hours to cook. And he's like, really? You got to try one. You can do it in like an hour to hour and a half, maybe 2 hours if you get a really big one or doing a couple of them. And I was like, ain't no way. So he bought some, and we did them at work. And pretty good, I'm not going to lie. So I'm going to share this one with you and show you what I do when I prep mine. Now you can see it's kind of a triangle shape because this is the bottom of a sirloin, the point of it. And we're just going to trim up a little bit on the top. The butcher did a fairly good job, but there's just a couple high points we're going to trim off and make sure that it's at least a little square. We're not doing a competition here, we're just feeding the family. And of course there's some big chunks of fat I want to take off. So we're just going to get all this trimmed up nice and neat real quick, and then we'll flip it over and take a look at the cap side and see how much we got to take off there. We're not going to do too much because I do like a little fat on my steaks because fat is flavor. Oh no, he's touching meat again with no gloves. It's alright guys. If you're in a kitchen, you can wash your hands. Wash them. If you're in a parking lot of a sports game, then yeah, put on gloves. Makes you feel better. Alright, I like the way that looks. Now this is the cap side. Looks like they did take some off. We're just going to trim a little more because nobody likes to chew on a big old piece of gristle. And then we'll keep this down and we'll render it later for tallow. Which, if you haven't got that in your lives, not just for cooking, it's good for so many other things. Eczema, who knew? And we're just going nice and slow. Now you can leave this on if you want to. I just take it off when I'm prepping mine because I like to get all that charcoal flavor into the steak as opposed to the fat. And we're not going to take it all off, we're going to take most of it off. That's just the way I prefer it. You do it how you like. Some people just buy it right out of the package, throw it on the grill and eat it. That's fine. Just a little bit more. Like I said, we're not taking it all off. We're taking most of it off. That's a little too thick right there, though. Oop. That's pretty thick. That is thick boy there right there too. So get that end off. All right. I can live with the rest of it. And then what I like to do, and I'm sure there's some haters down there that's not going to like it, I like to take a little bit and put a little bit of holes in it on the back side, because nobody's going to see this side, they're going to see the top side, and this just helps the seasonings and the stuff get into them and let it soak up from the bottom, because we're going to leave it face up. And that's it. All right, so next, the seasonings. Now this is a pretty good sized piece of meat. I think it was a 3 pound, a little over 3 pounds. We took about another 6-7 ounces off of that. So you're running, just under a 3 pound tri-tip, which is a pretty healthy sized steak. I go with Watch Your Sister sauce, top it with black mesh pepper, garlic powder, kosher salt, and I'm gonna put a little bit of Meat Church Gospel on it this time. Just give it a little bit better color, even though the Gospel has a lot of that same stuff in it. So let's get this seasoned up. And I always start on the bottom side, so when you flip it after you season it, you have the top side up, you move it to your pan, and it's going to rest for a good 4 hours or so before we get it started. So let me get my hands washed. Now I always start with pepper, is the biggest particle you're putting on it. And you want to start about that high, you want an even coating, and then like I said, this is a big chunk of meat, so it can take a lot. Salt, and you can be liberal with this as well. It helps the crust. Garlic powder. And just a little bit of the Gospel, Meat Church. If you haven't come across his channel, haven't watched his stuff, he's out of Waxahachie, Texas, and he's got some good barbecue products. Get that set in. Flip and repeat. Pepper first. Followed by the kosher salt. Garlic powder. And don't worry, I'll get the sides, guys, in case you guys are wondering. And a little Gospel today. I usually use his Holy Cow, but I apparently am out, and somebody didn't tell me. I'm not going to say who, but she knows who she is. Beautiful. Set that aside, and we'll let that just marinate and do its thing. Okay, so that's prepped. All we're going to do is we're going to put that in the oven. We're going to let it sit about 3 hours. It's 70 degrees in here. The steak's going to be the perfect temperature when we go to grill it, because that's real important. You don't want to take a steak right out of the fridge. But I would recommend, if you can, season that steak the night before. It makes it even better. We're on a little bit of a time crunch today, so I wanted to get it done early this morning. We'll set it up, let it sit a good chunk of the day, and we'll cook it this evening. And that's going to be good. All right, now it's time to get the potatoes situated and ready and get them in the oven. We're going to run about 400 for about an hour, but every time I bring leftovers to work, everybody's like, what do you do to your baked potatoes? They're so tasty. I eat the whole thing, skin and all. Let me bring you along and show you what I do, and it's super simple. It elevates your game. If you haven't done this yet or you don't do this, it's the only way to do it in my opinion. But if you have another opinion, put it down in the comments. I'll be happy to look at it and I'll be happy to try it. This is what I do. First, you want to use a good quality olive oil. And I use this right here, Terra Deliesis Laureate de Prix de Or. Good Lord. Oh, wait. There we go. Gold Award winner. Smooth flavor. It says so right at the top. Extra virgin olive oil. Farm produced. Get it at your local grocery store. I like this stuff. I prefer it over the store-bought stuff or other stuff. So, real simple. I've got some sweet potatoes and baked potatoes. You just put one in the foil. That easy. And let me set you up so you can watch the goodness happen. There we go. Sure. These have already been washed and cleaned. Very important. Always wash your produce as soon as you get it from the grocery store or before you use it. You're going to cover the whole thing in olive oil. All of it. And I do this whether I'm doing sweet potatoes or I'm doing regular potatoes. Salt and pepper. Garlic powder. Rotate to the side that's going to sit up. Salt and pepper. Garlic powder. And you always want to make sure you have just enough olive oil to keep everything wet around the potato as well. Because it will steam a little bit and cook when it's in the oven at that kind of temperature. Pull the ends up, and this is just regular aluminum foil. These are going in the oven. They're not going to be manhandled on the grill and be moved around. So you can use this stuff and be just fine. It's a heck of a lot cheaper than the barbecue grade stuff. And that's it. Make you a little pocket. One more time. Potato. Olive oil. Salt and pepper. Garlic powder. Flip. Salt and pepper. Garlic powder. Fold the end. Fold the end. And you want to seal these pretty good because you want everything to stay in there while it's cooking. And that's it. Set it aside. I'm going to get the rest of these done real quick and we'll get on to bigger and better things. All right, all those are done in the oven, 400. Just let them do their thing. Check them in about an hour. It's that simple. Now onto the cauliflower. Wait till you see that. All right, I gotta get this cauliflower prepped. We're gonna steam it, and then we're gonna stuff it with stuff, and then it goes on the grill. And let me show you the setup on that, and get this in your life. If you like a lot of vegetables, you want something different, gotta try this. So we have our cauliflower. That is a beautiful cauliflower. And what you can see here is I've trimmed off most of the stuff, and all you're gonna do is trim off these bottom leaves just a scotch so you can get as much steam to penetrate this, because we're only gonna steam it for about 10 minutes. And a little more there. All right, I like that, and it sits perfectly flat. Set you aside. We're going to get the prep done on the other stuff, and of course all these will go in the chicken bowl when I get done prepping. Now these are cheese curds. They come in different sizes. You can get them at your grocery store, or you can use regular cheese. If you want to cube it up and cut it into little pieces, you can use that as well. So I'm going to get these sliced real quick and out of the way, because we're going to stick these in the cauliflower after it's steamed. And I'll show you what that looks like when we get to it. Alright, those will go in the bowl. Set to the side. Now these are dates. They're pitted, dried. You can get them at your local grocery store also. And these are what else is going to go inside this beautiful cauliflower. And if they're a little dry, it's fine. They're going to be steamed. They're going to be cooked on the grill, rather, in olive oil and seasoning, which I'll show you that when it is time for that. And that should about do it. Set those aside. Now then, the key to this, to soften it, because we want to soften the whole thing, is we want to steam this for about 10 minutes. So that's going to go over here in the pot. You want just a little bit of water in there, not much, and just set her on in. Cover her up, and then get her going. And we want to just get the water boiling a little bit and leave it. And like I said, 10 minutes after it starts steaming, then we'll pull it out. This is the other part of it. This is just your typical cedar plank you can get at the grocery store. They're $2-3, but I cook my cauliflower on this so it's not sitting right on the grill, and it helps with that process so you're not just killing it with all that heat underneath and drying it all out. So you want to soak these for about half an hour at least. I usually soak mine for about an hour or so, and then I flip it halfway through, and that's what's going to sit on while it's in the grill. And it's going to be grilled for about 20-30 minutes, just going to get a little smoke flavor to it and help all those stuff come together. And once you take a bite, lights out, game changer. I almost forgot, we're putting a few shrimp on with a tri-tip. A little surf and turf action today. So I'm going to bring you along as I probe these and get them seasoned up, and we'll get those set to the side. But I figured I might as well show that. Why not? Now I just got jumbo white colossals. Oh no, he's touching the shrimp with no gloves. It's gonna be fine, guys. I can wash my hands. But we're gonna get these sauteed on the grill as well. Now, when I shish kebab mine, you have a loop, obviously, and I put my shrimp to match the loop because you're going to cook this way, not this way. Little tip. It's all about the tip. Let me get these shish kebabbed, and then I'll show you what we're running as far as seasoning today. Olive, what are you doing, baby? Olive. No, sir. No, ma'am. Stay out of my butter. Out. And of course, when you're cooking shrimp and butter and all kinds of stuff, you get animals coming to visit. Imagine that one. Now I just got a pound and a half. That's more than enough for us. If I'm doing a big party, I'll usually get 2 or 3 pounds, and I'll break out all the shish kebabs. And all I'm doing is simply going in fat portion toward the head to the tail and on. And if I got to be that rudimentary, I will, because this is not rocket science. It's a shish kebab shrimp. I know this is exciting. I wonder what Aaron Tippin's doing today. Huh. No shrimp left behind. Put this little guy on the end. There you have it. Now I'm going to get all this cleaned up real quick, and I'll bring you back for the spices. Now then, I'm going heavy Cajun today. A couple lemon pepper, or at least one whole stick of lemon pepper because it's one of my favorites. And let me show you that real quick, and we'll get these all set aside. Up first, Cajun two-step. Gotta love it. Up next, to spice up your life a little, Cajun two-step fire, as the cracker says. And if you haven't tried his spices, not that he's endorsing me, but he makes a darn good product. And I believe the difference is this one has a little jalapeno in it. Yep, jalapeno to give it a little fire, but not too much, because jalapenos not that hot on the Scoville scale, so you can handle your stuff. Lemon pepper. We get ours in bulk. I got a good friend of mine in town that has a restaurant, and it's nothing like buying a 20-pound bag of seasoning at one time. Oh, it's two sides. Two sides tray. Pretty yellow. We tasty. And last but not least, Chupacabras is Cajun blend. You just can't do all one flavor, in my opinion. You should have everything in your repertoire when you're cooking. That's a wrap. We'll set those aside, keep them somewhat chilled, and I'll get this all cleaned up. And it's just about time to get the grill fired up. I'm excited. I love cooking on the weekends. My wife does 70% of it during the week. I take over on the weekends, and it's all about what I can do outside cooking, preferably to inside. But we will get into other dishes. Let me know what you'd like me to cook for you. I'll try anything, and I can do it all. And if I don't know it, I'll learn it, and then I'll teach you. All right, cauliflower is done. We got it steamed up about 10 minutes. We're going to stuff it with all the goodness. Spice it up. Set it to the side with a little olive oil. And now go on the grill after I get the tri-tip just perfect so I can offset it. So I'm going to bring you over here, and you can see all the goodness. Maybe something like that. Sure. Get you a butter knife. That's all you need. You're going to start by poking a little hole and then opening it up a little bit. You want to stuff these first because you're going to cover those up with cheese. Stuff your little date in there. And we're going to come back and fill all the date holes with the cheese curds, so nobody knows, none's the wiser. That one decided to break on me. That's fine. We'll get it shoved in there. That's what she said. And I do the dates first because it lets you know exactly where you put everything. Because I like to cover everything, so you're surprised when you get a bite of one and that sweet and rich flavor they do comes out, and it is just right in your face, and boom. That one is not cooperating. It's fine. We'll fix it later. But if you're not into meat and you want just a delicious treat, do this on a vegan diet. That's fine. Nobody's judging. I don't care what you eat. I prefer what I like. You like what you like. It is what it is. No judgment here, because there's some darn tasty vegetables out there in the world and other alternatives. Me, I just grew up in Texas. And Texas is all about barbecue and meat. We did lose that one. That's fine. No worries. Nothing goes to waste. The chickens will have something else tasty to have. And if you haven't tried this, you got to get this in your life. Just going to let you know. Sorry, trying to keep my belly out of everything, but you know the saying, never trust a skinny chef. All right, that's looking just about perfect. Now we're going to come back with cheese curds and stuff. And when it's said and done, you won't see a lot of them anymore. A little camouflage. That one's stuck to my finger, that one's sticking to my finger, and you'll get some of that. That's okay. Just work around it. All almost there. I'm going to doctor this area up where the cauliflower came off. It's all good in the cooking world. All right. Now then, what I do, olive oil, we're going to drizzle the whole thing. We want it to soak up all this goodness, and it helps it from overcooking, helps boil it a little more. And we'll get some olive oil on the board itself, and that will help keep that from burning too much while we're doing the rest of it. I like that right there. A little salt and pepper. And we're just doing the top. We're not really worried about the sides as much, because you're not going to see any of this, because I'm going to share with you in a second the rest of the secret. Now this is garlic powder, because I use it on everything. Salt and pepper, garlic powder. A little more Cajun seasoning. Use what you like. This is Stale Crackers Cajun two-step, which I find is just absolutely delicious. And it'll help keep it a nice, pretty color. And that's it. And that is ready for the grill. I'll bring you in so you can see it. Let me tell you this. Get this in your life. All right, the charcoal is just about ready. So I'm going to get that fired up. Get the tri-tip seared. And let me get the better light. There we go. Look, I can see you. Get the tri-tip seared. And then we'll throw this on, and then the shrimp. And it's time to eat. And the last ingredient that goes on the cauliflower that I forgot to show you earlier, I'm showing you now, is this right here. Pork chorizo queso. Now you can use regular queso if you want. If you want to stay more vegan, that's fine. I just like the way this stuff tastes. I like to eat meat, and that's just who I am. Not judging you, don't judge me. So that'd be the last step. Once it's finally done and out, we'll heat that up, we'll pour it on top. Out of this world. Now we're back. It is time to get the tri-tip on the grill. And we're going to sear this. I got my charcoal just about where I like it. It's hard to tell, but we'll do our best. And we're going to put that puppy right in the middle. And let that goodness come together. I'm going to get this seared. And get it rocking and rolling. And then we'll be back to get the rest of it on. Doesn't that look tasty? Well, the tri-tip is seared almost the way I want it. So I'm going to set it offset. All the charcoal's on this side. I'm going to put him over here. We'll have to flip him a couple more times. But we're going to get the cauliflower on. And I think we'll put him right about here for now. And let him get warmed up and started. In the meantime, when it comes to grilling and cooking, I wanted to share with you guys, it's about feeling. When you think it looks good, you think it's right, test it. Make sure. Chances are your instincts are probably correct. When you're grilling, it's the same way. Although some meats require probing and making sure it's at the right temperature to serve, but there will be carryover, and so it's most of the time okay. So the tri-tip, we're going to get up to about 130 or so, and we're going to pull it off so it can rest. It'll cook up to about 135, between medium rare and medium. I prefer my meat a little more than medium rare. I know people, medium rare is the only way to eat it. That's okay. You do what you like, please. And we're going to let that sit about 20 minutes. We're going to rotate the cauliflower. We're going to rotate the tri-tip as well. And then once we'll probe it at that point, and we'll determine where we're at. Because like I said, it's about feeling with your heart, filling with your tongs. And if you do enough meat over time, you don't even need a meat probe. You can just poke it and know exactly where you're at. Time to see where we're at. Cauliflower is looking absolutely amazing. Tri-tip is looking absolutely amazing. And based on my feel, we should be almost there. 133. A little hotter in the other part. Yep, I say that's a wrap on that. We're gonna get that off the grill. We're gonna get the shrimp on. Or I'll put the shrimp on, then I'll take that off. How about that? Why not? I need a third arm. Cajun two-step. Cajun two-step fire. Oh, need a little more room. Lemon pepper, everybody's favorite. And I'm gonna move that real quick, and that's gonna be hot, so let's move you back just a scotch. And the chupacabra. And we're gonna pull the steak, because it is the tri-tip, because it is Dunsky's. We'll put it right there in the corner. We'll let those go for a few minutes. Actually, not a few minutes, about a minute, minute and a half. Minute and a half on the shrimp. We'll flip, butter. About another minute, minute and a half. We'll flip, butter again, and then pull them, and they'll be ready. All right, so the cauliflower is almost done. We're gonna butter up the shrimp. Hopefully I didn't get too close to my face, so you can see all my imperfections, which is hardly any. But time to butter up the shrimp. And it will cause some spark, some flames. It's fine. And we'll shut that down in a hurry. Sorry for the moving, but I need a third arm and I don't have one. Or I need a cameraman. So apparently that's not going to happen either. And the tri-tip is missing, in case you didn't notice. And the tri-tip is on the cutting board, ready to go. We're going to let that cool off for a little bit, all come together. And we're going to shut this down for now. Let that cook for just a little bit longer. And then we'll butter one more time on the other side, if I don't break my butter bowl. And that's almost a wrap. I'm pretty excited. Is this right here. It is going to be over the top. Now that would satisfy a king. Now onto the tri-tip, which is my favorite part of the show. All right, here we go. Time to take a look at the tri-tip. Let's see how we did. That's pretty good. Only thing left is a bite. You gotta get that in your life. If I'm starving, your family's starving, so we're gonna get started, we're gonna eat, and I'll see you down the road.